You'll be wondering why am I bringing Star Wars in now, right? But this is quite relevant. So there's always an awakening. And when there is a crisis in our lives, or a spiritual emergency or a breakdown, yeah, there are moments when people, and you would have seen this, there are moments when people who have never believed in anything higher, anything bigger, in God, religion, spirituality, when those people fall to their knees and they pray, please God, help me. I feel emotional saying that. Take a breath. Yeah. So the darkness leads to light, and there is loads of research. You would have heard about the research. I've looked at it. I sort of get a little bit bored halfway through with some of it, to be honest, when they try and remove the sparkly bits of it. So a lot of the research around the links between depression, psychosis, and spiritual awakening. Yeah, there's a lot of YouTube videos that are worth watching. If you're interested in that, please look into that. Yeah, our Western culture does not know what to do with this otherworldliness, with the rainbows, with Neymar praying to God. Yeah, and often these views are seen as a bit weird. Is it strange? Is it a midlife? Again, there's cultural. He's from Brazil, you know. Is it a midlife crisis? And in our society, just notice what comes to mind. People choose not to speak or discuss or simply ignore this element in people's lives. And how do you bring this into your client work? In my first session, I will ask my client, do you have any spiritual, cultural, religious beliefs that are important to you? And there can be a moment of shame sometimes. Sometimes I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm Jewish, or I don't believe in it, or I've been brought up Muslim, but I'm not Muslim. Or there's a little bit more uncomfort to give space for when people will say, oh, I have crystals. I always carry crystals. The people that mention the crystals, and I brought a lump here. Hopefully the electric doesn't go off when I put it near it, right? So the amethyst, that I have crystals, or I have, I need to be near the ocean, or my spiritual beliefs in the forest, something bigger than them, right? To bring that into the space really, really early on. And some people, it's nothing. And when there's nothing, I will ask people, where do you feel safe? Where do you feel more comfortable? And often it's not with people, and it will be on a walk in a forest near the ocean. Just think about what your own clients have said, Yeah. So there is from the first session, how are we connecting and creating space for that spirit, for the soul? What are we noticing? That they really miss their grandma. Where did that come from? Who was there? It may be in the second session. You know, who was that nurturing voice? Who was that person? Where was the space that created change for them? And for me, it's interesting as a woman, because around these journeys that our clients are on. And I've looked into this a little bit more, and I've researched this more, because for me, since I'm 48, so born in 74, so since childhood, I have always loved stories. I'm obsessed with stories and narratives. I'm dyslexic, so my whole world, I have a very strong, powerful internal world with narratives and movies, books, TVs, video games. And as a therapist, this obviously comes in quite handy, because we're with our client, we're on the beat. I've got a hold of the rope with them when we're on the journey, when we're hearing the story. So it's very useful. However, I would always get very irritated. And this irritation has grown a lot more, I'd say, over the last 5 years, because I didn't know it wasn't normal. That all of the stories were, they were all white men. Really, white men and boys on these adventures, all of them, white men and boys. And it's been useful for me to research this. So this is just a different way when we work with men, women, or people who identify with stronger senses towards male and female. So a lot of these stories, how we should be, Yeah, of the men and boys. And when I've researched it, lots of post-Jungian writers, that means more women, post-Jungian means more women, share this feeling. So the journey the concept of the journey was developed by a follower of Jung. Remember, all of this work is Jungian, but all of it we're looking at unconscious, what's going on, unconscious, bringing that in. And in terms of TA, this is, society going into our parent ego state, how we should be. So the writer Joseph Campbell, he used Carl Jung's theories to examine the hero's stages in story narratives. So Joseph Campbell famously inspired George Lucas to create Star Wars. And I've grown up on Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I still love Star Wars. But I'm a bit irritated at some of the edges and the lack of women. Even in that Andor, I don't know if anyone else has watched Andor, the new Star Wars one. It's really hero's journey. The women, what are they doing? They're sort of like, I don't know, whores, hookers, and mothers, aren't they really? So in Joseph Campbell's work, that he calls it the monolith, right? And I'll share this with you. But the male adventure is different to the women's adventure. So the hero is always the male. He goes on an adventure. You can see it around here. He faces a crisis. He wins. And he returns changed and transformed. This is the hero's journey. But you can imagine my thrill when I found, so again, there is a journey here, but for women, it's different. So one of the, a student of Joseph Campbell's is a lady called Maureen Murdoch, a Jungian psychotherapist, and she developed in her work with her clients, she was working in obviously a lot of mental health and NHS situations. She developed in her work, there was a different depth route when working with women, and it's called the Heroine's Journey. And so this was a guide when she was working with female patients. She said that the feminine journey, this does not mean gender, by the way. I'm thinking of gay men that I work with who will identify more with this. That's what's coming to mind now. But the feminine journey, not all gay men, the feminine journey is about going deep into the soul, healing and reclaiming, while the masculine journey is up out to spirit. So there's something around in the male journey, they go down, fix it, kill the beast, come back up, and then the spirit. For the more female side, there is soul, healing and reclaiming. So this goes round. So let me read this. Separation from the feminine, identification with the masculine and a gathering of allies. Who do we bring into our circle? Who's safe? Other women. Road of trials, meeting with the ogres and the dragons. Yeah. Finding the boon. Isn't that a great word? Finding the boon. Finding the boon of success. Let me just move this so I can see it. An awakening of feelings of spirituality, death, initiation towards the goddess, urgent yearning to reconnect with the feminine, healing the mother-daughter split, healing the wounded masculine, and an integration of masculine and feminine. So it's more balanced. And what's great is there are now more movies, more films, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of these where there is more of a female character. So there's hope there for people who identify more with a female heroine. Brave, the film, what's this one called with the Hunger Games? Mulan. This was the latest, well, not latest, a few years ago, Star Wars, with the character called Rey. This film, Room, is uses the heroine journey. It's very harrowing. I wouldn't watch that over Christmas. It's sad as hell. And also Inside Out, which I was really happy to see, because for a lot of my clients, I get them to watch Inside Out, especially to understand ego states in the TA model. So that's wonderful that there's a female lead there.